Hey guys, welcome you all in T3P Technology to the Point. In this video, we will talk about AWS DevOps and also we will understand how we can start as a beginner and make career as a AWS DevOps engineer. In this video, we will talk about everything related to AWS DevOps. So let's talk about the agenda first. So what we will learn today, we will learn what is AWS DevOps is, how we can take help of AWS DevOps to do the work in our real time and how to start learning AWS DevOps as a beginner. And then we will talk about high level roadmap to become an expert in AWS DevOps from the scratch. If you don't have any knowledge related to any cloud or DevOps tool, here with this roadmap, it can help you to start as a beginner. Then we will talk about the AWS DevOps use cases, which can help you to understand how it can make an impact in your life in terms of when you are going through the interview. So you can use these use cases when they ask how you can implement and where you can implement AWS DevOps. Next thing, we will understand the best practices that we need to follow while using AWS DevOps. It will help you while you are designing any system or implementing any solution in your organization. So let's talk about from the very basic what exactly the AWS DevOps is. So to understand AWS DevOps, first we need to understand what exactly the DevOps is. So DevOps is a set of practices and tools that enable software development team to rapidly and reliably deploy code to the production environment. And if we will talk about AWS DevOps, which is actually a using combination of AWS services and DevOps tools to automate the process of building our application, testing, and deploying our software application in the production in short. Now we will understand how AWS DevOps helps in real time. So AWS DevOps, as you know, is a set of practices that combine software development and IT operations to shorten, or we can say, the faster the system development lifecycle and provide continuous delivery with higher quality of our software applications. So AWS DevOps actually what it do, it's make use of automation tools which includes configuration management, continuous integration, and continuous delivery to increase the speed of delivery of software and our application while also improving the reliability and security of the application. This is how AWS DevOps helps in real time. Now we will learn how we can start as a beginner and then we will move forward. So, if you are new to AWS DevOps, then there are several steps you can take to start learning. But here I'm going to talk about the high level. So, first you need to start, or we can say familiarize yourself with the AWS cloud. If you are new to AWS, then you can start with the AWS fundamental. There are trainings available on AWS website. So before diving into AWS DevOps, it's essential to understand the AWS cloud's fundamental concept and services. You need to understand what are the service model you are having, deployment model you are having, what are the services available in AWS. That will definitely help you further. So you can start by reading the AWS documentation that will speed up the things to learn, and then you to understand further, you can take training courses which is available on AWS site for this step. Next, you need to start learning basic programming skills because basic programming skills are required to write and automate scripts. And when you want to implement automation, you need to write the script, right? So AWS DevOps typically make use of languages such as Python, Ruby, or Java. So it is beneficial to have a strong foundation in these languages. Next, you need to learn the DevOps tools because here we will talk about AWS DevOps. So, along with AWS, you need to understand what are the tools available for DevOps. So, AWS offers a range of AWS tools, including AWS Code Pipeline, AWS Code Commit, and AWS Code Build. So, just go through these tools to understand what it do, how we can use it. So, you can start by reading the AWS documentation. These tools are described in details that will help you to understand better. Next, you need to practice CI/CD. That means continuous integration and continuous delivery are the crucial component of AWS DevOps. So you can practice these concepts by setting up a CI/CD pipeline for a simple project, not not start with the very big one, otherwise you will get confused, and sometimes it's a bit frustrating also when we don't understand things properly. So it's just start with a simple project, okay? Then to mm, become more knowledgeable, or we can say to get more knowledge about the AWS DevOps, it's better to join AWS DevOps community. That will help us to connect with other people, other developers who are working on AWS DevOps. So it will definitely help you. Now we will learn about the roadmap to become an expert in AWS DevOps from scratch. As we have already understood how you can start as a beginner, but if you are looking for a plan where you can expect yourself to become an expert, then you can follow this thing. As I mentioned, you need to start with the AWS Cloud Fundamentals, where you need to learn the concept related to AWS Cloud, which includes everything related to the AWS services, security wise and the pricing wise as well. Because when you are designing or implementing the solution, you need to understand the pricing as well. That cost optimization is very essential for any organization. Next thing, you need to learn the Linux administration as well. Learn basic Linux administration skills, including the command line, file system, and the networking part of it. Next, focus on scripting and programming. So learn scripting language such as Python, Bash, Ruby, Java, that will help you. Okay. Next, you can learn CI/CD pipeline. Not only just the theoretical knowledge, gain the hands-on experience with CI/CD tools such as AWS Code Pipeline, AWS Code Commit, AWS Code Build, that I already mentioned earlier as well. Next thing, focus on configuration management, where you have the tools like AWS Cloud Formation, AWS System Manager, and the Ansible. Next, to learn about the containerization and orchestration, where you need to learn the tools like Docker and Kubernetes. That is very much required for any DevOps engineer. Next, if you are looking for something where you need to provision the infrastructure or building the infrastructure through the code, then you need to learn infrastructure as a code. If you know, there is a tool called Terraform. If we will talk about in AWS, we have the tool AWS Cloud Formation, which is similar to Terraform. Next, after building anything, you need to monitor and log. Um, so after learning, building and everything, then you need to focus on how you can monitor or log the system. That means you need to learn how to monitor and log your application using the AWS tool. So where you can use the tools like AWS, Amazon CloudWatch, AWS X-Ray, and AWS CloudFront. Next, you need to focus on security and compliance, where you need to learn about the security and compliance best practices, which follows by AWS services and application, which includes encryption, identity and access management, and compliance framework like we are having in the market, PCI DSS or HIPAA. In the last, once you gain the expertise in AWS DevOps, AWS services, everything, then for the AWS DevOps, we have a certification as well. Right now, the 50% discount is also going on till April, I guess. I'll share the details in future video. So AWS offers several certification related to DevOps, which includes AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional Certificate. That is the professional level certificate. So that will help you. Now we will talk about the use cases of AWS DevOps. Although we are having multiple use cases from the AWS DevOps, but here I'm going to talk about four important use cases. First is continuous delivery for web applications. So see, AWS DevOps can be used to automate the process of building, testing, and deploying web application, but this can help reduce the time to develop the application, launch the application, and make it into the production. Not only it will help you to develop, but also improve the quality of the application. Okay. Next use cases we are having to use infrastructure as a code. AWS DevOps can be used to automate the creation and management of infrastructure using the tools we are having in the AWS, that is AWS Cloud Formation, Terraform, or AWS CDK. Next, we can use it as a microservices architecture. AWS DevOps can be used to manage microservices based architecture using containerization and orchestration tools that I mentioned, Docker and Kubernetes. So this can help to improve the scalability and resiliency of the application while reducing the time and effort which is required to deploy and manage these applications. Next, compliance and security. In the compliance and security use cases, we are having like AWS DevOps can be used to automate compliance and security checks as well. For this, it uses the tools like AWS Config, AWS IAM, AWS Security Hub. So these can help to ensure that application and infrastructure we are using that will meet the necessary requirement or the compliance and security requirement of our organization. So these are the common use cases in every organization where we are using AWS DevOps. Now let's talk about quickly about the best practices that we can follow to use AWS DevOps. First, we need to use automation as much as possible to deliver the software. Next, we need to use the version control system such as Git we are having to track the changes of the code. Next, use the CI/CD pipeline to ensure that changes are tested and deployed quickly and reliably. Next, use the infrastructure as a code to manage infrastructure changes and reduce the risk on manual errors. Next, use the monitoring and logging where these tools to track application performance and troubleshoot issues. Next, use security best practices. Implement security best practices always help for our organization so we can use the technologies like encryption, least privileges, and multi-factor authentication to protect the application and our infrastructure. So we will talk about next, which is collaborate across teams. So it's always better to collaborate across different teams like development teams, operations teams, and security teams to ensure that everybody is working towards the same goal. So I hope you find this video helpful, you understand better. If you have any doubt, you can mention in the comment section. You just follow the description where I'll share my Telegram link related to the DevOps. So thank you for watching. See you in next videos. Don't forget to like this video, share with your friends who are working in the same domain, and subscribe this channel for more learning resources which can help you to save your lots of time to learn quickly. See you in next video. Keep learning.